We are Open Bar Theatre and this is our production of Sensibility!
100 a year would make them all perfectly comfortable.
To be sure, it is better than parting with £1,500 at once. But if Mrs. Dashwood were to live another 15 years, we'd be completely taken in.
15 years, my dear Fanny. Her life cannot be worth half that purchase.
Certainly not. But if you notice, people always live forever when there is an annuity to be paid them. Oh, Eleanor, what a pity it is that Edward should have no taste for drawing.
No taste for drawing? Why should you think so? Indeed, he does not draw himself, but he takes great pleasure in the performances of others. Had he ever been in the way of drawing himself, I think he would have drawn quite well. Indeed, I think I may say that you cannot, for you are perfectly cordial to him. And if that were your opinion, you could never be civil to him.
Do not be offended, Eleanor, if my praise of him is not in everything equal to your sense of his merit. I have not had as many opportunities of estimating the minuter propensities of his mind, his inclinations and tastes as you have. But I have the highest opinion in the world of his goodness and sense, and think of everything that is worthy and amiable.
I think very highly of him. That I esteem, that I like him.
Esteem him, like him. Cold-hearted Eleanor. No, worse than cold-hearted, ashamed of being otherwise. Use those words again and I shall leave the room this moment. Excuse me. This is absurd. Colonel Brandon is certainly younger than Mrs. Jennings, but he is old enough to be my father. And if he were ever animated enough to be in love, he must have long outlived every sensation of the kind. It is too ridiculous. When is a man to be safe from such wit if age and infirmity will not protect him?
Infirmity? Call you Colonel Brandon infirm? I can easily suppose that his age may seem greater to you than to mother, but you can hardly deny that him having the use of his limbs.
But did you not hear him complain of the rheumatism? And is not that the commonest infirmity in declining life?
My dear child, at this rate, you must be in continual terror of my decay. And it must seem a great miracle to you that my life has been extended to the advanced age of 40.
Mamma, you are not doing me justice. I know very well that Colonel Brandon is not yet old enough to make his friends apprehensive of losing him to the course of nature. He may live another 20 years, but 35 has nothing to do with matrimony.
Certainly. 35 and 17 ought not to have anything to do with matrimony together. But if there should happen to be a lady who is single at, say, 7 and 20, I should not think Colonel Brandon's being 35 any objection to his marrying her.
A woman of 7 and 20 can never hope to feel or inspire affection again. In my eyes, it would be no marriage at all. To me, it would be merely a commercial exchange in which each wished to be benefited at the expense of the other.
I really must object to you condemning Colonel Brandon and his wife to the constant confines of a sick chamber, merely because yesterday he chanced to complain, a very cold, damp day, of a slight rheumatic feel in one shoulder.
But he spoke of flannel waistcoats. For their whole behaviour towards one another has been unaccountable. How cold, how composed were their last adieus. In Edward's farewell, there was no distinction between Eleanor and me. It was the good wishes of an affectionate brother to both. Twice did I leave them, purposefully together in the course of the last morning, and each time did he unaccountably follow me out of the room. And Eleanor, in quitting Norland and Edward, cried not as I did.
My dear child, none cried as you did.
And I was only afraid that Miss Dashwood might find it dull at Barton not having so many as they used to have.
Lord, Anne, can you talk of nothing but beaux? You'll make Miss Dashwood believe you think of nothing else.
But Sir John said... He said Miss Marianne was to be congratulated on making the conquest of a very smart beau since she came to Barton. It'll be a fine thing to have her married so young, I'm sure. And I wish as much luck yourself soon, but perhaps there may be a friend in the corner already?
His name
Engagement.
No engagement.
No, he is not as unworthy as you think. He has broken no faith with me.
But he told you that he loved you.
Yes. No. Never absolutely. It was every day implied but never declared. Sometimes I thought it had been, but it never was. Oh, Eleanor, I thought myself as solemnly engaged to him as if the strictest legal covenant had bound us to each other.
I believed it. But unfortunately, he did not feel the same.
He did feel the same. For weeks and weeks he felt it, whatever may have changed him now. I was once as dear to him as my own soul could wish. Lucy Steele. Edward and Lucy, it cannot be. How long has this been known to you, Eleanor? Has he written to you?
I have known these 4 months. When Lucy first came to Barton Park last November, she told me in confidence of their engagement.
4 months? Have you known of this for 4 months? What? While attending me in all my misery, has this been on your heart? And I have reproached you for being happy.
It was not fit that you should then know how much I was in the reverse.
4 months, so calm, so cheerful. How have you been supported?
By feeling that I was doing my duty. My promise to Lucy obliged me to be secret. I owed it to her, therefore, not to let any hint of the truth out. I have often wished to tell you and my mother, but without breaking my confidence, there was no way I could have convinced you.
4 months, and yet you were in love with him?
Yes!